Oh, hat mode is here. So, I am now able to properly interact with chat. So, yes, as we just finished explaining to Assassin, that was lethal on the turn, because if Cavalry Field Captain were to retreat back, the attack just goes through as normal. Because it would be ridiculously broken if you could just cancel blocks this way. Like, you could just couldn't get through it. Anyways, Drygord wins. That was definitely one of the less expected ones, but to be fair, I mean, Cruel Tech. My god, Cruel Tech. That was painful. That first game just literally just being stolen from him by not having the Divine Offering work out. That was tough. But you know what? It happens. But, you know, it was nice to see the Demons play out. Although, I'm still gonna stick to my guns and say that Ghoul does not belong in Demons. But, hey, who cares? I'm not the one who won the tournament, so what do I know? So now that we have everyone here, let's just have a brief chat. Like, thoughts. We're not gonna have an interview, obviously. Drygord, as I understand, does not have a microphone. So, that's a shame. But what can we do? I was really hoping this interview thing would be like a tradition, but the thing is, it's contingent on the person winning having like the proper equipment to do it, and that's kind of a dream, really, because not everyone's gonna be able to do it. So whatever, we'll do an interview when we can. If we can't this time, we'll just do a chat interview instead. We got everyone gathered up. Oh, Pew, nice to see you as well. Shame you didn't stick it out to the end. You might have had some really fun games too, but I understand that since there's nothing to gain, you probably don't care about crystals or whatever the second place is. What was it anyways? Okay, so $377, 6,000 crystals. Oh boy. 2,500 crystals for 2 points. Yeah. Oh well. Anyways, yeah, it was a good tournament. It was a lot more surprising than I thought. As always, there's little details here and there that end up escaping me. Even though the game sometimes feels like you just strictly draw dependent, there's a lot of room to make little decisions that end up making a big difference. And that's where the good players can really make different. That's where the good players really shine and separate themselves from the not as good players. Oh well. Take off the hat. Okay, here. Hat is off, hat is on. There you go. Alan Voice doesn't believe me. Nah, he just had to hit me with some emotes. There's the Kappa, and then the Baby Rage. Wait, no, there's no opportunity for Baby Rage because I'm not actually playing. Sorry. Anyways. So what are your guys' thoughts? What was your favorite game? What was your favorite deck? What did you think about like these matchups? Like, we saw Dragon Combo get banned a lot. That's pretty expected, right? And it seems that when you do ban it, there's a lot of interesting games that can happen, which I think goes to show what Dominion's place in the meta is, sadly. I mean, you can still play like the aggressive version with implants, but that's like an entirely different deck. And it just goes to show that Dominion is capable of playing, you know, a strong aggressive deck, a strong control deck, and it could even play a mid-range deck if it wanted to. Which is something not all the aspects are able to do. But anyways, it's been pretty fun. Drygord, well-fought battles. What really surprised me is Laurentiel's strange loss in round 1 against Skillshoot's weird Coronas deck. It seemed to be exactly the kind of deck that just perfectly countered him. That was pretty pretty amusing. Pretty amusing to watch. But yeah, Conquest is fun, I think, ultimately. At the end of the day, I think we learned that Conquest is a good format because you are able to strategize more. And if there is indeed a deck you really have trouble with, you just ban it, right? And then you don't worry about it anymore. And it does mean no player can rely on any one deck to like carry them. Like, you have to have 3 decent decks, all of whom can stand on their own. Masters number 8 it was. I can't believe it's been this many already. I actually have a video planned. I was saying this earlier when we were starting up, is that I have a video plan where I'm going to kind of just go over everything that's happened so far in the Masters history. And there's been some changes here and there. Like, for instance, like when we lost the second hat that Bolter so selflessly provided. But, yeah. Like the fact that we haven't had 16 players since the first 2. There's always been someone who couldn't make it. Another big change that happened was the loss of the wildcards, which I honestly don't think at all is bad, because it just means you have more skilled players, and you have more room for people to get in now that you get 2 golden tickets from each of the big qualifiers instead of 1. So I think Masters is in good shape. Although I'm sure we're all dying to see some new cards, shake things up, maybe a balance patch, something like that. We're always eager for new content. We're always eager to try up something new and, yeah, see something new come up. Anyways, if, I don't know, I'm going to be here for a little bit, so I'm open to questions. Or if you just want to troll me with some emotes, Alan boys, that's also an option. If anybody wants to like give us their, shall I say, impressions, like, you know, one of the players, of course, you know, what was their plan, what were they trying to do? That'd be really cool, because for me, being in this position, you know, it's different when you're watching from the outside than if you're actually playing in the tournaments. It's much easier to misplay when a lot is on the line and you're thinking of a lot of stuff. It's easy enough to see like these misplays when you aren't the one who's risking anything at all. Because if it turns out I was slightly wrong, like, oh, whatever, I guess this play was okay. But you can't really afford to do that if you are the one in the tournament, especially if there's money on the line. Oh, there's Alan, boys. Never failing with these emotes. He provides a very valuable service to me, reminding me not to get too confident or too arrogant, because the emote spam is never far away. Yep. Anyways, the floor is yours, guys. Or if you just want to mess around and chat while we still got some people here, that's also good. And in the meantime, let me check the schedule here. I want to see if there's gonna be like a best of 3 draft, because I was gonna want to play in that. Those are always fun. If there's one tomorrow, I'll try to get into it. Those are the really interesting ones, because I feel like just playing 3 singles games is not enough for the time invested to actually draft a deck. But best of 3 is really fun, and you can afford to have like a bad game and still, you know, win the round. That's the whole point. Oh, good question. Custom Card Contest 6, the one I've been putting off forever now. I do intend to close it today, like for realsies, instead of, yeah, probably soon, yeah, probably in the next 2 days, and then nothing happens. But no, I do intend to do it. I'm just not sure which video will go up first. Maybe I'll just do both, and then, like, do them, like, in short succession. Another expansion. The roadmap states between January and February is the mini expansion. That is the campaigns, and something like 15 cards are added. So we're not sure whether there'll be neutrals, because obviously 15 does not divide into 6 evenly. So we can say there might be some neutral cards, or there may be like 12 cards and 3 heroes. That could be one thing that happens. Although it would mean the number of heroes is not even across the board. They may even change their mind halfway through this. Anyways, Laurentio is always betting on the later dates. If it says January to February, end of February. That's how it is. As far as an actual big expansion, I wouldn't count on one anytime. Maybe summer, I'm guessing. I don't think the roadmap extends any further than what do you call it? Then, like, anytime beyond like the January and February. There's like maybe one more afterwards. Laurentiel says there's 15 two multicolor aspect. That is correct. There are 15 combinations of 2. I mean, 2, like if you have 6 and you can pick any combination of 2, there are 15 ways to do it, which means that we might actually have 15 multicolor cards. And that's pretty cool. That's really awesome too. It's going to be really fun to review those. If I know anything, I'll of course be posting it. I'm sure Laurentiel's going to want to review them on the stream or something. I'll have a video out as soon as I know anything about it, but I wouldn't expect any spoilers for a while. Keep in mind, we didn't get spoilers for Valiant Dawn until like days before the expansion, the actual expansion hit. Like, we had a few, like, singular spoilers here and there, but, like, really big ones. But, you know what? It's alright. It comes when it comes. Reviewing new cards is probably my favorite thing to do. Seeing just how wrong I could be. Neutrals versus multicolors. I think it's an interesting question. Neutrals do offer the opportunity to kind of fix some holes. Like, by giving you a lot of opportunities to, like, create cards that anybody could use. Like, not great cards, but, like, decent cards that any aspect could use. But multicolor, of course, can lend themselves to interesting things, too. The only downside is multicolor cards are, of course, going to be restricted. So you have to make them, like, good enough that they all want to be played. And I think designing 15 really good multicolor cards, or, like, dual color cards, is going to be challenging. But it does maybe encourage some new ways to play. That should be interesting. Of course, neutrals are going to be weaker because that's the idea. Because the idea is that you can use them to do something in your deck that you otherwise can't. Neutrals don't always have to be bad. You could sometimes have neutrals that are really convenient and then just played everywhere. I've played some card games where the neutral cards... There are some neutral cards that are like in almost every deck because they are just... They're just good. Yeah, I think I would prefer multicolor so that the developers can push the power level on them a little bit higher so we have some cool stuff to play with. Because if you just make 15 whatever neutral cards, it's probably not going to impact the decks enough. Unless we're talking adding things like extra spell removal, extra artifact removal. But even then, that doesn't... address everything. They could add like a neutral card that just heals you. That could be good. Yeah, Pilot Shredder is an example from Hearthstone. Duelist is loaded with really good neutral cards that are run in like basically every single deck or almost every single deck. It gives you something like it makes it a little bit easier to build a deck with like cards, and also makes drafting and stuff like it gives more options for draft because you have these are cards that are in every pool, right? So we'll see. The one last thing I'm really curious about is, will any of the cards that we have designed in the custom card contests actually make it into... Like, will they actually make a card that's at least in some way similar to a card we have already designed? I mean, we've designed a whole bunch of cards, so it's entirely possible that they had been, intending to make such a card. So I'm very curious. An interview with Ifko would be absolutely amazing, and I would love to host one. I could talk to him about it, but I wouldn't expect any miracles. But if he is open to it, I will happily host one, either on this channel or on my channel, one way or the other. And then we'll invite Laurentiel too, because it's going to be really fun. And I think everybody would love an opportunity to actually talk to not just any developer, the head developer, like the top, right? The brains behind the operation. And I'm sure Ifko is here watching, probably. If he chooses to comment, that's wonderful. If not, I'll ask him about it, and I'll let you know probably in some video or another, or some stream or another, and then we'll see what happens. That would be fun. Not having it live. I mean, I think because if it's live, then we can ask him more directly. But of course, having it in chat would be good too. But if that's the case, then you don't even need me to host it. You could just, like, anybody could host it and just have the chat meet together here and then just talk to IFCO this way. Because, you know, without necessarily having to have me leading it. But whatever we can do is fine with me. I always find it fascinating to talk to the brains behind these things. Like, I would love to have been able to talk to, like, Hearthstone devs about some stuff. And, like, probably, like, bitch them out for designing some really stupid cards. But, hey, whatever. It is what it is. Gather questions for an interview. I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I guess the idea is that we don't, like, flood the chat with these questions. We could do that, where we gather some of the most interesting questions and, like, ask them, and then ask IFCO, and then if he wants to respond. That's pretty cool. But I feel like we could do the same thing on the forums. Like, you could just create a thread that says, the player base asks IFCO, or the player base asks the devs, and then we can just post some of the most asked questions, and then have them actually respond. Like, if we pool them together, to get, you know, and then make, like, a sticky topic, and then it'll be pretty cool. You could just visit and see, oh, I wonder what the players want to know from the devs. I wonder what the devs said. Some good questions might be, are you ever going to have neutral cards? Are you going to have dual-colored heroes? Are you going to have any other kinds of game modes, for instance? When is the next expansion? These are all really good questions, right? That I'm sure the developers must have thought about. Probably even long ago. I don't know. We'll see what the next awesome mechanic is. There's still so much to explore with the cards in Spellweaver. So many new mechanics you could add. Some unfinished archetypes, like the artifact creatures, that could be really interesting because they could function a little differently, like being able to transform into each other. Cool stuff like that. Sorry, there's no Zebra Mal here. Zebra was not invited to Masters. It lost in the latest qualifier. And from there, we could see where we can go. I still want more interaction, more ways for action to be on the board. I mean, we have the 2 rows, right? And that's awesome. We're just not using them well enough. Well, some decks do use them. But I think the presence of Dominion has the effect of kind of trivializing it in a bit because of some cards like Cataclysm. But we're not necessarily going to repeat what everybody already knows. I am looking forward to the next balance patch. Hopefully it's soon. But there's... Basically, I'll say this. It's not as simple as it seems. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would just want to say, yeah, let's just, like, nerf Cataclysm, Chicken, and, I don't know, Scatterer's Bidding or something. But there's more to it than that. You have to understand that when you nerf something that's dominant, other things will emerge that may have been obnoxious, but weren't played, but because the other thing was better, right? Like, when they first released the expansion, we were worried cards like Prinha and Minotaur were going to be insane. But it didn't matter because Dr. Styx and the Vats and the Fleeting Fairy was so broken that none of that really mattered. And then what happened? We nerfed those cards, and then suddenly the Chicken became the next dominant force, right? So what I'm basically worried is, if we were to, you know, quote-unquote, take care of Dominion, what's to stop, like, obnoxiously powerful aggressive decks from emerging? We don't have enough just neutral healing. That's something that neutral cards could provide, just healing, like a whatever statted creature that just heals you. Something like that would be good. I am inclined to agree. Kata being nerfed, it's a tough topic. I don't think you can just nerf it and leave it at that. Because then like, you'd have no way to come back against the boards. We need, like, you see in this tournament, there were a lot of boards that seemed unclearable. Like, you see Hate Bears, they play 2 Life Force Incarnates, backed up by a Sculptor and like 5 Elves. How are you ever going to clear that board without Cataclysm? Like, there just isn't any way. And so, yeah, like, I think Cataclysm might actually be okay. Like, it's possible the Cataclysm is fine. We just need to make Cataclysm not as easy to get to. Right now, it's a little easy to get to because of ramp and basic Despina. I am glad that we're all actually agreeing that basic Despina is a problem. Oh yeah, Snowstorm. Great card. Thank you. Oh, if you reflect it, it's good, but reflecting just about any spell, like Fire Blast, it's pretty good. Yeah. Now, Snowstorm is, in all honesty, a terrible card. It's only played if with Reflector. But, I mean, when I was making the video on the Balance Patch, the Fuzz edition, you saw what kind of cards I was thinking. Now, I was only addressing the control side of things. Aggro is still threatening, and that's primarily because 1-cost creatures are a little bit too efficient in terms of damage. A lot of them do 2 damage, some even do 3 damage. And yeah, you can just take way too much damage because your opponent can play like a 2-attack 1-drop and then 2 more on the next turn, and you just have no way to deal with it, is the problem. I think that's always the threat of 1-mana cards, because you can play so many of them in one turn. Like, no other card scales the same way as a 1-drop. The 2-drops, you know, you can only play 1 until you have 4 mana. Unless you have, like, Summon or Druid or something. But you know what I'm saying. Whereas with 1-drops, it can get crazy. Also, Highness, nice to see you. Burke, the main problem with Burke is that the health has gone up on creatures. Back in the day, 3 health was pretty high, actually. And now that there's so many more creatures with 3 health, Burke just... yeah, he just doesn't do enough. I don't even remember any Burks on ladders anywhere. So I think Burke might need a reason, just because he is just progressively going to get worse as creatures get bigger, or as there's more like there's less 2-health stuff everywhere. Burke is just gonna get worse. And also, I mean, he's competing with Advanced Zash. That's pretty tough competition. And the other problem is because you take damage from using the ability, it's eventually gonna become useless. So yeah. It was cool when they introduced it, though. It was, like, really neat. Yeah. But what can you do? I gotta remember the Asperia tournaments. I mean, I used to cast those, too. I cast, like, 1 or 2 of them, but I got tired of it. But Masters is a lot of fun, though. This is the place to be. There's a lot we got looking forward to now. I feel like the developers are trying to balance 2 buckets, basically. Like, 1 bucket is, we call it the progress, like putting effort into stuff that advance the game, like campaigns, like expansions, like, you know, stuff like that, new game modes. And then there's the other bucket, which is like maintenance almost. You've got balance patches, you've got bug fixing. So it's like hard to choose. Do we focus more on making the game better now, or do we focus on making it much better soon, right? And because there's only a few of them, they really have to manage their time really well. It's tough. I mean, let's admit it, they've gone pretty far. The fact that we're all even here is a testament to just how far they've gone with what limited resources they have had. And just how amazing, how unbelievable this game would have been if they just had more resources or more manpower working on it. They're doing the best they can, and they've done much better than I expected. That's my little motto for the day. I see chat is getting wild over some rage decks or something like that. I was actually so busy monologuing over here, I didn't even notice it. Like, I only just now noticed that Nis has joined us in chat, and there hasn't been any emotes from Allen Boys, so I was a bit confused about that. But hey, okay, it's all right. Overall, a fun tournament as always, full of surprises. As always, you guys never fail to, you know, despite the decks being expected, is you still manage to surprise. Duel of Champions, it seems like the one thing that I just don't know anything about that I'm missing, because everybody seems to know it. I guess it's like the card game everybody knew, but I didn't get into card games like really until, you know, somewhat recently. It doesn't matter how many shrines you run. You could just get unlucky that one time, and it's gonna ruin everything for you. Like, missing it like later on wouldn't have been as bad, but turn 1 or 2, like, you can't not develop your mana that early on. It's just too punishing. It's in part our fault because we play the game where you have to hit your mana every time to stay on curve. And I mean, maybe it's not necessarily our fault. That's just how we've been playing it. So whenever you miss, it's painful. But because Divine Offering exists, you rarely do. But that means that when you do, it's rough. Anybody who didn't have all the heroes at the start of the new year got a free hero pack. So 6 champions? I believe we have 7 champions, actually. There has not been any repeat other than Peacekeeper. So this is the 8th. So that means Drygord is the 7th champion. Everybody else had only 1. Peacekeeper had 2. The 1st and 3rd, everyone thought it was going to be Peacekeeper Weaver for a while. Peace Weaver, but he left. I've not heard from him at all. So maybe he's just doing other stuff. Johto, I guess, is not coming back because of self-evident reasons. So that's okay. We still got Laurentiel. Like, Laurentiel is he's our rock. Whenever I have doubt, I can always just ask Laurentiel for advice, and he always puts me back on track, and everything makes sense again. Don't know where I'd be without him. I probably wouldn't even be wearing this hat. That's how bad it would be. Oh yeah, the first few Masters. Okay, when did they make the change? Was it after the 5th Masters? Did they lower the prize pool? I think so. That's when a lot of the bigger names started dropping out. Because I guess they thought it wasn't as worth it. Whereas when the prize pool was 2,000, just getting into Masters, because there were 3 wild cards, was almost enough to guarantee you like $100 as long as you got like 2 points. Whereas now you have to actually take first place. I think the right amount would have been somewhere between the two. Like, I think 2,000 pool was a little bit too much. I think like just keep it at 1,000, maybe a little less, but have like 3 points and up be paid would be, I think, pretty neat. But you know what? I'm glad we have anything at all. You know, that's something. We have the big monthly tournament where we all get together, where we all cheer on our favorite players, and some of us are those favorite players. And you get to check out my awesome hat, and maybe occasionally Zebra. Are you guys making predictions for the next champion? Oh, Nis is gonna be the champion. I'd like to see that. Yeah. I mean, I still expect Cruel Tech. All he needs is just not get really unlucky, and he's gonna get it. There's no way Cruel Tech doesn't win a Masters. There's just no way. Sometime within the next few months, Cruel Tech is gonna win a Masters. And yes, you're right. When there is less on the line, people are more likely to drop because, like, anyone who has a full collection, like, okay, well, I lost round 1. I have no reason to play for another 3 hours when I could just, yeah. Oh, Drygord, I almost forgot about you. How did you do in this tournament? Hang on, let me check real quick. Nah, Drygord, I mean, how good could he have done? Let's be honest here. I mean, let's be honest. This guy's just, well, whoa, 4 points. My hat flew off in excitement. That was amazing. How did you do it, Drygord? What kind of a Jedi mind trick did you pull off on Cruel Tech to beat him? That's astonishing, man. You are truly the most amazing player of all time. My hat's gonna have a hard time staying on my head now that I've just read that. Oh god. But you know what? It just goes to show you. It's, I'm not saying anyone's game, but we have a lot more good players than we realize. A lot of people are capable of winning it. And I mean, Drygor just showed up and said, yeah, I'm just gonna take it. Nobody's gonna get in my way. He's way too good. Oh yeah, Masters Black Market. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you saw my reply, Drygor, but I was looking to sign up to be a partner. Because I like this idea of this enterprise you're planning, where we're offering the services of increasing people's scores at a small, small fee. Oh, we trust you, Nis. We know you're really good. You know what? You've just been holding out because you didn't want to take it away from us. You're just like, yeah, let these guys win. When the time comes, I'm gonna come in and wreck the place, and that's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna expect you to win a Masters sometime. That's gonna be an amazing day. Oh man, Drygor takes it to the next level. This is like higher levels of warfare than, you know, everyone's just bringing good decks and trying to play well, but Drygor, his strategy is on another level. I mean, you just can't beat that. That locker room trick, I wonder how many, like, big football games were won because of that. Because one team did that better than the other. I mean, that's tough stuff. It's what it takes to be a competitive player. You've got to have a big character and big other things as well. It's very important. So Drygor did a lot of preparation to beat Cruel. I mean, let's not forget, he rigged the RNG as well to make sure Cruel misses a couple Divine Offerings. It worked pretty well. No, I don't play football. I'm just aware that it exists. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not really a sports fan. The only sports I play in any capacity is tennis, but that's just like casually, not like for real, or like in any professional capacity, not even close. Oh, Nis is already telling us her lineup: 1 turn heal Rage, 1 turn heal Wisdom, and 1 turn heal Dominion. So she's gonna run 12 Thaumic Reflectors across all the decks. That's no one's gonna expect that, obviously. It's gonna be amazing. She's gonna definitely take the world by storm with that. Reflecting every spell there is. Reflect Dragonfire. Destroy more things. Reflecting Cataclysms. Reflecting Tornado Outbreaks. Reflecting Black Markets. Draw more cards. All the cards. Never enough cards. Darius Tennis. I don't even know what that means. But speaking of basic Darius, kind of miss the guy. Seems like he doesn't really have any good decks these days, because all the decks are too refined and too focused. You don't really benefit much from drawing cards. No room for casual Darius anymore. What a bummer. What a bummer. Oh well. Maybe one day I will get some other drain effects, and then casual Darius can make a triumphant return. Although I'm not really holding out a whole lot of hope. But hey, there's always going to be some ridiculous deck that I can play. Currently it's Demons. And I'm looking for a deck that really speaks to me. Casual Darius is love. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, yeah, without Word of Pain, it's it's pretty rough. You lose a lot of your burst. I mean, I'm not even sure what you could replace it with. I mean, you could try, but it's just not going to be very good. I'm guessing the Word of Pain was to target zombies, because zombies could run it, and it's like they just had a card that like could burn you for an extra 3 in addition to Succubus. So they could go up against Rage, and they could always catch up after being beaten down. Alright, that's maybe zombies' problem, not Darius' problem. Although casual Darius mirrors were kind of silly, to be honest. New Horizons was such a deciding card. Like, if you drew more of them than your opponent, you usually just won the game, unless they drew really poorly. The first person that can get a Consume Spirit attack in was usually just winning. Ah, those were the good days. When I could actually say I was somehow responsible for inventing a reasonably competent deck. Yeah. I mean, I didn't totally invent it, but I guess I popularized it in a way. I don't know. You're right. Zombies now have Duke, so yeah. They don't even need to play it. So somebody was pointing out that we're nerfing the wrong cards, because by hitting Word of Pain, you hurt other decks, but not zombies, or not hurt them enough, because they can just play a different game. But casual Darius basically can't survive without it. Demons hurt really badly without it. Well, not that bad, but Word of Pain is a nice card for demons. Let's just say that. So yeah. So we don't want to make these kinds of mistakes again. Like, I think nerfing Haldiri may have been a bit too rough. Like when they nerfed the Hermelian Elf Path deck, I mean, they went nuclear on it. And I think all you really needed to do was change path. That would have been enough. So that you couldn't put creatures on the board. 5 mana Duke. That's Laurentio's Duke. My Duke is one that instead of putting them on the board, adds them to your hand. Yeah. Did nerfing Abhorrent Ghoul even do anything? Basic Darius and Sanctum? Wait, why are they busted together? I mean, there's nothing busted about Basic Darius. Sanctum, maybe somewhat, but Sanctum is like the only reason that Control Corruption has like anything going for it. Because, like, keep in mind, they're up against like Cataclysm and stuff. So, yeah. But it was a necessary skill. Like, casual Darius really needed Sanctum to stay ahead. Because they just didn't have Cataclysm. They didn't have, like, Karthus bidding or anything silly like that. No. Is Ghoul really that good? It's only good on turn 2 now. That's really it. I guess it being a zombie helps, but like, you can't just take 3 damage. It's only important versus Rage. I mean, I don't know. Wait, who made the list work? Casual Darius work after the nerf? Bezarok. I mean, yeah, Bezarok would make some sense because you go 4 aspects frequently. I was considering adding Bezarok to Casual Darius anyways. So, yeah, I guess that would make some sense. But you're now even more relying on Horizons. Like, it's your entire world. Horizons is your life now. Yeah, I guess it'd be cool with Bezarok. You just play to get extra Succubus triggers, most likely. Now, Bezarok gives you options. I know Yelich played it too. I think we may have been trying to make a list at the same time. Or maybe I saw his list, or I saw something like that, and then I just went off with something. The video I created was like a template, in a sense, where you have a list of all the cards, and then you can just switch out some stuff based on what you need. Elitch still streams. Like, he streams not Spellweaver, but he streams like Total War Warhammer or something. And like, he seems to be streaming fairly frequently, actually. I don't know why he chose those games. Maybe he just wants to stream anything at all. I don't know. I don't really fully understand the psychology behind watching streams of people who you do not know. Yeah, I mean, when I go annoy Laurentiel on a stream, it's because I know him, and not because it's somebody playing Spellweaver. It's just how it is. I mean, with Casual Dares, you get different kinds of it, because Reanimator is... Let's see, what's the issue with it? You don't have cards like Harpy, usually. And, you don't have, like, you know, Lifesteal. Casual Dares was... Man, no one knows me. Who am I? None of your business. Oh, God, that was terrible. Forget I said that. Casual Dares was strictly focused on the drain. Right? That's how you won. You would make big attacks and then back them up with drain. You didn't care about anything else. But yeah, Elitch still streams. I think one time he actually was streaming like something, and then he like started hosting me for some reason, like randomly. I think like must have been bored. But I don't know. I wonder if there's other games I could stream that anybody would watch. But I feel like there's a lot of games that are just not worth watching because like they're not fun to watch. Like, just play it yourself. Secret Paladin. Yeah, good times. But I mean, I don't know. Like, when I play a lot of games, I tend to like to do other things. Like, watch videos or read something. Unless I'm playing, like, Dark Souls or something. That'd be a fun stream, but... yeah. Times are such as they are. Man, we've been going on for a while now. I feel this has started to turn into a meet the host kind of stream. Because this is like... just like talk about random stuff. I guess that's part of it, right? It's just kind of a casual gathering. One guy is playing a game, one guy is talking. The rest are just kind of building around that. But I think I'm gonna cut it off really soon. It's been fun, but I do need to like get up and stretch my legs because I've been sitting in this chair for like 3.5 hours now. Which is actually not that long. But still. Coronis Red might be something. But, I mean, it's just another aggressive deck, right? So, it's interesting because it's an aggressive deck, right? Because it's the only way you can, like, somewhat compete with both Dragon Combo by just beating their face, and with other aggro decks by just outfacing them. Man. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll hopefully get this custom contest video done. Hopefully I don't lazy about again. And then we'll see what happens afterwards. I'm gonna bid you guys farewell. And I'll see you guys next time.